around Africa and the rest of the world on global business. Also, we'll take a look at issues affecting businesses and the economy of the southeastern part of Nigeria on the Eastern Business Report, and of course, we'll take a look at activities and conversations from around the market on Afia. The Afia Business Morning takes center stage every weekday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. My name is Ubong Kings. Welcome to the Afia Business Morning. I want to welcome you to the opening bell segment right here on the Afia Business Morning. And just so you know, trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is open today. The exchange in London opened an hour ago. The New York Stock Exchange is yet to open, while in China opening bells went up at 2 a.m. local time. Before we jump into all those activities on the selected stock exchanges, let's take a look at some business news stories that we're tracking at the moment. We're interested to know, we're starting out from the continental economy, where it's reported that the worst power outage has hit southern African countries. Zimbabwe and Zambia has recently experienced a widespread power outage due to a fault that impacted both nations. This is according to statements from Zimbabwe Power Company, that is ZPC, and as well as Zambia state-owned utility ZESCO Limited, as the blackout marks the worst power distribution for Zambia in 3 years and for Zimbabwe since 2022. And from that, let's take a look at stories from the global scene. It was reported that Northvolt collapse leaves European Union taxpayers on the hook. The collapse of the Swedish battery maker Northvolt AB has left a hole in the EU's ambitions for electric vehicle success, but also a potential €300 million hole in its budget, where recently the company filed for bankruptcy protection under the US Chapter 11 procedure, as it only had about $13 million in cash remaining. Details of these stories and more will come to you on Global Business. And away from that, let's jump right to the floors of our featured exchanges, and we're starting on the floors of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Like they say, charity begins at home, so yes, we're starting there. I'm interested to know that the NGX All-Share Index as at yesterday closed on the high, rising by 0.01% to close at 97,639.88 points, and a total of 552,110,061 shares valued at 8,031,310,614 naira 56 kobo were traded across 9,305 deals with equity capitalization of 59,525,397,772 naira 11 kobo. Now we're going to be taking a look at the biggest gainers and losers of the day. I'm interested to know that the biggest gainer of the day, incidentally, was HM Core, which rose by 9.98%. Other gainers were the likes of Suna Shore, Jupiter Gold, Prestige, and Namath. Now let's take a look at the losers of the day. On the other hand, Multiverse, however, topped the losers list with a decline of 9.92%. Other losers were the likes of Tantalizer, UPD Create, Universe Shore, and RT Briscoe. We will go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll be looking at activities from the other selected exchanges and talking about the likes of the New York Stock Exchange, London Stock Exchange, Chinese Stock Exchange, which of course comprises the Shenzhen and Shanghai exchanges. All of that after this timeout. Stay tuned. Great to have you rejoin us right here in the opening bell segment of the Afia Business Morning. And like I did say, we're moving on to check out activities from other selected exchanges, and we will continue right now with the U.S. Stock Exchange, where it's mostly rises in index values across the board. The NYSE Composite DJ is down. The NYSE US 100 index is down. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is also down at 0.36%, 0.16%, and 0.58% respectively. However, the S&P 500 index is up at 0.16%. The NYSE FANG TM index is up 0.95%. Nasdaq Composite, Nasdaq 100 both up at 0.35% and 0.29% respectively. Away from that, let's look at what is happening in the UK. Incidentally, it's the reverse. As a matter of fact, it's all dips in index values across the board at the London Stock Exchange, with the FTSE 100 down 0.47%, the FTSE 250 down 0.77%, the FTSE 350 down 0.48%, the FTSE All Share Index is also down at 0.48%. Now let's take a trip to the Asian continent, stopping off at China, and we're starting with the exchange at Shenzhen, where it is all dips as well in index values across the board. The Shenzhen Component Index is down 0.84%. The SZSE Composite Index is down 0.95%. The Chinex Index is also down at 1.15%. And while we remain in China, let's move to Shanghai this morning. Shanghai, well, a little rise here, there, just two rises as far as index values here are concerned, but the rest is mostly dips in index values across board. The SSE 50 index and the SSE 180 index are both up at 0.41% and 0.03%. However, the SSE Composite Index is down 0.12%. The Star 50 Index is down 0.66%. The SSE 380 Index and the CSI 300 Index are both down 0.47%. and 0.21%. We will go on a quick break, another break, pretty much the last break as it were. And when we come back, we'll be taking a look at commodity reports and, of course, the hikes in prices of commodities in the open market. And you may want to do well to follow this program. Join in on the conversation right now because we are live on our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/Afia Business. And while you're there, remember, you should subscribe so you get notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. And while you're at it, remember you could also join us on socials, especially on Instagram with the handle at Afia Business _ to be part of our social media community. And coming up next, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll be taking a look at the activities as far as commodities in the open market are concerned. Stay tuned. The program, Afia Business Morning, indeed, opening bell. We'll be right back. My name is Ubon Kings.
I am Marvelous Apamaga.
I am Chioma Bakbala.
My name is Ifulaya Ndule, but I'm living in our market speaking.
Glad to have you rejoin us, and yes indeed, you're still watching the opening bell segment of the Afia Business Morning. And now we're going to be taking a look at our commodity reports, and we would like to start with precious metals. Incidentally, it's no activity as it were for gold today. Gold sits at 0.00% this morning. Silver is up, palladium is also up 0.44% and 1.30% respectively. However, platinum is down at 1.10%. Away from that, let's take a look at energy this morning. Energy, where we have mostly dips in index values across board, except for natural gas and oil brands, which are both up at 1.13% and 0.78% respectively. However, ethanol and coal are both down 0.63%, 0.04%. Oil Bonny Light is also down at 2.84%. Brass River and Kwaibo are both down with the same values of 1.76%. And finally, industrial metals. This morning, industrial metals, well, it's pretty much looking all bullish with mostly rises in index values across board, except for aluminum, which is down at 1.75%. Lead is up at 0.18%. Iron ore is up 0.06%. Copper is up 0.91%. Nickel is up 0.75%. Zinc and tin are also up at 1.87% and 0.77% respectively. Well, on that note, we come to the end of the opening bell segment right here on the Afia Business Morning. And just so you know, you could be part of the conversation, join in live right now on our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel by going to www.youtube.com/Afia Business. And while you're there, do well to hit the like button. And remember, you should subscribe so you get notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. And while you're at it, remember, we are on socials, Instagram more specifically with the handle at Afia Business _ do well to follow us and be part of a social media community. Up next will be the segment Global Business, coming next right after this time. Stay tuned. My name is Ubong Kings. My name is Ubong Kings.
I I am marvelous Apamaga.
I am Chioma Okpala.
My name na Ifunaya Ndule, but I'm living in a market pikin.
Afia Business Morning. Join me every weekday on the Afia Business Morning as we bring to you a trilogy of business segments. The opening bell where we see activities from our select stock exchanges. The global business where we bring you up to speed on business activities, making the rounds all over the world. And we bring the conversation home on the segment Eastern Business Reports as we discuss business activities and issues bedeviling businesses in the Southeast region. My name is Ubon Kings. Join the Afia Business Morning every weekday 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Exclusive to Afia TV on DSTV channel 254 and Go TV channel 17. The Afia Business Morning. Business unusual.
Thank you for rejoining me on the Afia Business Morning. This indeed is Global Business, where we will be taking a look at business news stories around the continent of Africa and indeed the rest of the world. My name is Ubong Kings. Here are the headlines that we're tracking at the moment. Starting off from business news stories around Africa, who has reported that worst power outage hits Southern African countries. And outside Africa, North Volta, collapse leaves EU taxpayers on the hook. And to France now, it's reported that France is offering to buy Etos's computing activities. We'll bring you details of these stories and more right after this time out. Stay tuned. You're watching Global Business right here on the Afia Business Morning, and we'll begin with stories from Africa, where it is reported that Zimbabwe and Zambia have recently experienced widespread power outages due to a fault that impacted both nations, according to statements from Zimbabwe Power Co. ZPC and Zambia state-owned utility ZESCO Limited, as the blackout marks the worst power disruption for Zambia in 3 years and for Zimbabwe since 2022. While the exact cause of the fault remains unclear, both countries are grappling with electricity shortages exacerbated by a severe drought that has significantly reduced hydroelectric power generation, their primary energy source. Meanwhile, as of the time of this report, ZPC announced that power has been restored in most parts of Zimbabwe, while Zambia, on the other hand, that happens to be Africa's second largest copper producer, was still working on restoring power supply. Now, quickly, let's take a look at a few things that I had to write down. Number one is the fact that, well, this blackout marks, let me just put it down now, marks the worst power disruption for Zambia in 3 years. And guess what? And also marks the worst power disruption for Zimbabwe, on the other hand, since 2022. 2 years. 3. In other words, they've not experienced this kind of power issues in 3 and 2 years respectively. Now, what we say same about Nigeria? Now, we are called the giant of Africa, but it doesn't appear that that's the case, because as far as history serves us, the Nigerian national grid has collapsed on a regular basis. As at 18th November 2024, it collapsed again, and which marked the 10th national grid collapse in 1 year. 10 times. Now, the good part about this story, really, I don't want to make those comparisons right now, but the good part of this story is the fact that at the time of this report, Zambia, on one hand, has been able to restore power to most parts of the country. Zimbabwe, I beg your pardon. Zambia, on the other hand, is still grappling with this reality and trying to find ways to solve or salvage the situation. But then again, we'll see how this unfolds after a period of time. Moving on, let's move on to other business news stories, this time around outside Africa, where it's reported that the French government has made a non-binding bid for Ethos' advanced computing business, valuing the unit at 500 million euros, as the division includes the company's artificial intelligence activities and its supercomputers, which can be used for nuclear deterrence. Meanwhile, the offer, which expires at the end of May 2025, I beg your pardon, would allow Ethos to reap up to 625 million euros through performance-based bonuses, as an initial 150 million euros will also be made available upon the potential signing of the deal. However, the branch employs 2,500 employees and generated a revenue of around 570 million euros in 2023 alone. Now, to me, one question comes to mind, and that really is, why is the French government wanting the acquisition of Ethos? Now, I will tell you for a fact, is most governments in the world, all over, with inclusion of the African continent also, are in fact most interested in gaining control of certain infrastructure, and for obvious reasons. I'll tell you. Number one is the fact that the French government is keen to prevent foreign acquisitions of such strategic technology as Ethos, for instance. Ethos, like I did read earlier, is into a few things: artificial intelligence, number one, and then supercomputers, which could be used for nuclear deterrence. This can be weaponized. I need you to understand this. And this falling into the hands of any other kind of government other than the French government could spell a lot of damage for them. I say so because In case you're wondering, let me just put this in context. Atos is actually a French-based, so you know, it's based in France. It's a French multinational information technology service and consulting company with headquarters in Belgium in France. So you now understand why it appears that the government of France is wanting to take control of that, since they've already pleaded or, you know, bankrupt of a sort, and not delivering as they would have expected. So if it becomes a government facility, pretty much serves the purpose of government, and government will pretty much fund it. And that, well, if you ask me, it's a win-win technically of a sort. But then we'll see how all of this plays out eventually. You may want to get to our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel by tapping in search bar www.youtube.com/Afia Business and hitting the like button and subscribe button so you'll be part of everything happening as far as business related content is concerned right here on Afia TV. And while you're there, understand that you could be part of our social media community. Follow us on Instagram with the handle at Afia Business _ to be part of our social media community. Up next will be more business news stories right after this time out. Stay tuned. My name is Ubon Kings.
I am Marvelous Apamaga.
I am Chioma Okpala.
My name na Ifulaya Ndule, but I'm living in a market pikin.
Welcome back to the Afia Business Morning. This indeed is Global Business. And now to the rest of our stories. And now we move on to business news stories from the automotive world, where it's reported that the auto industry shift to electric vehicles is expected to go on despite Donald Trump's threat to kill tax credits, where if the president-elect Donald Trump makes good on his threat to kill federal tax credits for electric vehicle purchases, it's likely that fewer buyers will choose electric vehicles. Yet tax credits or not, auto companies show no intention of retreating from a steady transition away from gas-burning cars and trucks, especially given the enormous investment they have already made. Where since 2021 the industry has spent at least $160 billion on planning, designing and building electric vehicles, according to the Center for Auto Research. Now, this particular story has a particular angle that cuts my attention, right? And I'm going to share with you, it's found on the second paragraph of this particular story, which says, tax credits or not, auto companies are showing no intention of retreating from a steady transition away from, of course, gas-burning cars and trucks, especially given the enormous investment they had made. Now, why wouldn't that be the case? This will be the case because, like that paragraph says clearly, that they have made enormous investments in this place. It may interest you to know that in 2021 alone, recall that in 2021, since 2021 alone, the industry has spent at least $160 billion on the planning, designing, redesigning, and building of electric vehicles. Now, this is according to the Center for Auto Research. So here it is, guys. In a nutshell, let me just put it out there that this drive for electric vehicle is still on. Yeah, it might have slowed down. It doesn't necessarily mean it's over. As a matter of fact, it's still ongoing, but then at a slower pace, because of course everybody's anticipating Mr. Donald Trump's tariff on quite a number of things, which will in turn affect production of these vehicles, especially if the vehicles are imported into the United States specifically, right? And that of course will also hurt by extension the Chinese market. But are you aware that the Chinese market is still doing well when it comes to electric vehicles? All right, story for another day, I guess. And in a related development, and in an attempt to end this bulletin, let's bring you the story about something that also services the electric vehicle industry. I'm talking about battery making. Let me interest you to know that the story has it that the collapse of Swedish battery maker Northvolt AB has left a hole in EU's ambitions for electric vehicle success, but also a potential €300 million hole in its budget. Well, recently the company filed for bankruptcy protection under the US Chapter 11 procedure, as it only had about $30 million in cash remaining. Some of the debts of $5.84 billion were owed to the EU itself, which has sought to boost potential European champions in the sector seen as key to the green transition. However, until recently, Northvolt was the most credible player in the European market, and its collapse leaves creditors fighting for scraps from the estate. Now, let me try and break this down real quickly so it makes a lot of sense. Now, by way of research, are you aware that in 2021 alone, let me give some statistics, right? The global size of the electric vehicle battery market reached an all-time high of $26 billion. Hold on. It is projected that the market size will increase with a compound annual growth of about 16.47% between 2022 and 2027. However, to the size of $66.24 billion in 2027. Now, the sad part is the fact that, well, Northvolt is no longer a key player in the sector because it's pretty much filled it up. But that is not the case with Chinese electric vehicle battery manufacturers. Nah, it's not. As a matter of fact, they're doing a whole lot better compared to their European counterparts. But then, don't take my word for it. Reuters takes the time to tell us more on this particular development. Let's take a look.
Northvolt's financial collapse could spell the end of Europe's ambitions to set up its own battery industry to power electric cars. It sparked debate over whether the continent needs to do more to attract investment, as startups struggle to near Chinese rivals. The Swedish company, Europe's biggest hope for an EV battery champion, filed for bankruptcy in the US on Thursday. That's after funding talks with investors and creditors, including Volkswagen and Goldman Sachs, failed. Northvolt, whose motto is Make Oil History, has received more than $10 billion in equity, debt and public financing since its 2016 startup. But it said it needed up to $1.2 billion in new funds under the restructuring process, which it hopes will end by the end of March. In recent months, it has shrunk the business and cut jobs in a bid to shore up its finances. It has struggled to produce sufficient volumes of high-quality batteries and lost a $2.1 billion contract from BMW in June. That has left Europe's ambitions to build its own battery industry looking like a distant dream. In recent years, Northvolt led a wave of European startups investing tens of billions of dollars to serve the continent's automakers as they switch to EVs. But growth in EV demand is moving at a slower pace than many in the industry projected. And data shows China has taken a huge lead in powering EVs, controlling 85% of global battery cell production. Making batteries and cells, the units that store and convert chemical energy into electricity, is a delicate process. Doing so at scale is a challenge for any battery maker. Northvolt has missed some in-house targets and curtailed production at its battery cells plant in northern Sweden. Alongside this, analysts have said China is technologically 10 years ahead of the West in batteries. At least 8 companies have postponed or abandoned EV battery projects in Europe this year.
There you heard it. There's a particular line that strikes a chord with me, and that line in that particular reportage says something very critical. It says that China is about 10 years technologically ahead of the European Union when it comes to this. So you get my point now when I say China is pretty much doing a lot better when it comes to electric vehicle manufacturing, electric vehicle battery manufacturing as well. So only time will tell how this turns out eventually, fingers crossed, and we'll keep you in the loop. And talking about keeping you in the loop, you may want to get to our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel right now. Kindly type in the search bar www.youtube.com/Afia Business, and while you're there to hit the like button, remember you should subscribe so you get notifications on all business related content coming to you from Afia TV. And while you're there, understand we are available also on Instagram with the handle at Afia Business _. Do well to go there, follow us, and be part of our social media community. Coming up next will be a conversation on the headline that I saw on the Punch newspaper quite recently, and as a matter of fact is almost on all national dailies today, with reference to the Port Harcourt refinery beginning production. 60,000 barrels per day. Well, we'll have a time to discuss all of this. Will this affect the pump price of petrol, diesel, kerosene? All of that will be the focus of our conversation on the Eastern Business Report after this time out. Please stay. My name is Ubong Kings.